Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello. I am a little flustered here today as we get ready for the show. There was a car accident on what is it called? 75. 75, and not mine. And so it was unbelievable. I mean, it was like the parking lot. So I decided to find out what it's like to go from 75 on Newberry Road down to get here, and I would have been better off just staying on 75. It was bad. Anyway, we're here. We got a great show for you, a lot to talk about. Golly, it's incredible how much we do have to talk about. I do want to send some thank yous out, though, before we get started here. Mike Herman, I believe is, I got to make sure I get this name right. Mike Herman, who is from Tampa and listens to the podcast. I think I get the name right. Jumped my wife's car. Now, and I'm like, why did your car run out of battery? Well, we had all the radios on. We were charging things. We were doing this. And, yeah, that's why you don't do those things. But anyway, appreciate him. And also to the people here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I had my first paid experience, Evan, this on Friday night. And place was packed. The coolest thing was so many people came up to me and said they listened to the podcast. You know, there was a guy, and I think it was his son from Maine. There was a guy from Texas. We love the podcast. We always come in here for Florida-FSU week, but we can't believe we're meeting you. And I'm like, well, A, I'm not a celebrity. B, a celebrity just left 5 minutes ago, and that was Spurrier. C, I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and we love it too. We love that everybody enjoys it. Maybe everything's about to change in Florida football. We'll see. But look, I'm going to do the opposite of what every national podcast or radio broadcast has done today, and that is to ignore the games of the weekend. So, look, I'm going to talk about Florida-FSU football first before I get to their new Billy as their head coach. And I keep calling him New Billy, and my wife gets mad. He's not even won a game here. You can't call him the New Billy. Billy was the legend. No, I'm saying he's the new Billy in those terms. But we'll get into that. All right, so, by the way, Andrea Adelson will be our guest today from ESPN. Love her. She is so terrific, and can't wait to have her on Friday. A little dose of Robbie Andrew. We always love that. So he'll be on Friday. And we're working on. I think I have my 100th episode guest. Although I'll have to talk to Evan about changing some scheduling up. Okay. All right. Let me get my hair out of my eyes. I got to get my hair cut again. The game was one of the worst games ever played. It literally, and I know that how everybody feels about it, but it literally was two teams going, what has gone wrong with our season? Let us show you in 3 hours and 53 minutes. I looked it up today. That was the time of the game. 3 hours and 53 minutes. That is something that somebody's got to address. And look, I get that it's all about the advertising and how much money they can get from all these. Like, there's a reason why, these schools are paying these incredible buyouts. Sorry, something in my eye. Incredible buyouts and all these incredible salaries and building these Taj Mahals. There's a reason why, because they're getting money, and the money's coming from the TV contracts. So it's like, I hate the fact that during the Florida-FSU game, it was a constant barrage of 4 minutes worth of commercials. And I had the sound off, and it was bad. Imagine if I had the sound on, how bad it would have been. And then there were all the reviews and all that. For college football to have a 3 hour and 53-minute no overtime game is ridiculous. But part of it was because these two teams just kept going, nah, I don't want it. I'll let you have it. I'll let you try to do it. So it was an awful, awful football game that ended appropriately enough. And I don't know if you saw this, Evan. The last play of the game onside kick for FSU, and the guy whiffs on it. He barely scrapes it with the. I mean, I would love for somebody to slow it down to a point where you see what percentage of his cleats even caught the ball. And my reaction, because I got the sound off, you know me, I like to have the sound off, was I think the game's over. I didn't know for sure. I was like, but what is the rule if you whiff on a kick, but the ball moves, so you know, it's almost like golf. Like if you had a wedge shot and you hit the ball and you totally whiffed on it, but it barely just moved a little bit, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it was an amazing end to a really, really, really bad game. It was a bad game. Like I said, it was like these two teams saying, here's why we're bad. Florida commits, 13 penalties? Emory Jones throws 3 picks in the first half, and they still go, we're good with Emory right now. They put him in there. He throws a ball that bounces off an FSU player's helmet, and they go, maybe his ankles are bothering him. Maybe his arm and everything else about him is bothering him. Let's get somebody else in there. And the funny thing is, Anthony Richardson goes in the game and does nothing spectacular. You know what he did? He didn't turn it over. He handed the ball off to the right guy. And, you know, that should have been Florida's modus operandi all year, since they lost all those games in a row, 7 over 2 years. But, I mean, obviously we're going to replace Trask. But 7 over 2 years, but 4 of them, 3 of them this year, it would have been their 4th one-possession loss if they had blown it at the end. Anyway, I think you're getting all my drift. All right, let's talk about the future, okay? It's good to have a little momentum going into the postseason. You almost wish Florida wasn't playing, but you want to be on TV, you know. You want people to see the brand on TV. Here come the Gators, people chomping and everything. You know, where they end up, I'll talk about that in a minute. Is irrelevant. You know, they're made for TV entertainment shows is what they are. They are not bowl games. They're made for TV entertainment shows. Here's what we're going to show you now, and then we'll go right into the next one. Right after Family Ties, it's, you know, different strokes. You know, that's all it is. That's fine. I love it. I live for it. So it's not about the game itself. It's not about the practices. Everybody's going to say it's about, you get those 15 practices. Yeah. How hard are these guys, or how they're going to try to get ready to try to win a game? Some of them, and a lot of them are probably not even going to show up, not even going to practice, not even going to play. I would be surprised if guys like Kyer Elam, I would think that he's not going to play, and maybe Zach Carter. I don't know. We'll find out a little bit maybe what these guys are made of, although I think we've been shown that pretty much all year. All right, so Florida now has a new football coach. His name is Billy Napier, and I keep calling him the new Billy. My wife gets mad, as I mentioned. But look, I think this may turn out to be a great hire, another generational hire for Florida. There have been 2. One was Steve Spurrier, and one was Urban Meyer. Ray Graves is borderline. I mean, when you say generational hire, guy who changes it. I mean, he never won the SEC, so it's kind of hard to say he changed it. But he did bring Spurrier here, and he's a huge part of Florida history. This could be that, or it could be another guy who goes 4 and out. You never know. Look, I've been studying up on the guy, but I still haven't talked to him. I still haven't met him. His press conference is next Monday. I hear nothing but good things about him. And I mentioned this. I wrote this in a column I did for Gators Wire right after the announcement, which we all knew was coming. And I talked about it here on Friday on the show, didn't I? I believe so. I'm taking full credit for breaking the story on Friday. But everybody I talk to has great things to say. And when I texted Scott Strickland and said, that was my man Dan Myers there. I think it's a great hire. I really do. And he said, hey, you're going to really like this guy. I will say this, in 4 years, I never heard that once about Dan Mullen from him. And I thought about this, and this may be a subject of a column. I got to write a column in the morning about Florida's change in coaches. And I may write about this, is that after sitting down and spending time with Jim McElwain and Dan Mullen, it must have been nice just to talk to a dude. Just to talk to a guy. I've got a vision. Here's what I want to do. It's not about me. It's about our plan. It must have been great. And I understand if the story is correct, and I still haven't talked to Scott yet about this. In fact, I'll make sure the phone's off because he may call because I got to call into him. But that for Scott Strickland, dealing with those two guys and then coming into this guy who's genuine about everything, he's a great guy. He's a great story. I don't know how many of you know everything about him. There's some stats that I am definitely going to quote that I love, and what I love. I love few penalties, special team. I believe in the little things. The big things are great, and if you're good enough, you've got, like, for example, Georgia. I don't even know what their little things are, but their big things are huge because their defense is so good. The best teams, it's usually because, like LSU, their defense was terrible. Their offense was so good, though, it didn't matter. You can do that, but you can't do it on a continual basis, and this is why Florida has had regressions over the years. All right. Meanwhile, Lincoln Riley goes to USC. That was I was just blown away. It wasn't that he went there, and everybody's going to say this. Oh, he's trying to get away from the SEC. He doesn't like going to the SEC, and that is the story. Is that he was not on board with the move to the SEC, and I don't blame him. You know why? He would be an idiot to go. Okay, can we be in the same division with Alabama, Texas A&M, and LSU? Is that okay? Is that cool? No, you don't want to do that. It's spam. Thank you, though. Thank you for pointing it out. So if he did it because he's afraid of the SEC, good for him. He's brilliant. He's a very smart man and a great football coach. He's won all these championships in the Big 12. Well, yeah, because they were fairly easy, and then he goes to now he's going to so now we're going to compete with Alabama and all these great Georgia, LSU, Florida, all these teams. Florida with no. How about if I go to the Pac-12? I don't even know who's in the Pac-12, but I'll go compete against Washington State. Where is that again? I think it's brilliant, and USC is a really good job if you make it a really good job. That's the key to USC, if you make it. There's a lot of stuff still going on. I want to get into David Cutcliffe resigning, but I really don't have time. Rhett Lashley to SMU, the Miami offensive coordinator. We got a lot to talk about. My prediction is that Bill O'Brien will be the next head coach at LSU, and that LSU is waiting until after his SEC championship game this weekend, obviously against Georgia. So we'll talk about that and more. We got a lot of things to talk about. We're going to bring Andrea Adelson on after this break and talk to her about everything she's been dealing with. We are live, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook Live, on the Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Shaq Allen Mercandani Studios. Shaq Allen Mercandani. Remember that. Remember Shaq Allen Mercandani. These people are really good friends who have been so supportive of us, and all these sponsors have been. We're at the end of football season, and we're going to try to keep them on board. And there's some basketball opportunities if you want to get on board as well. So I'm trying to sell here. But right now we got to take a break, and we'll bring on Andrea Adelson from ESPN.com and ESPN. She's one of my favorite people in the world to talk about what she saw this weekend. You're watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shakow and Mercandani Studios.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hey, this is Pat Dooley for the Gainesville Quarterback Club, and they are having a trial membership here at the end of the season. It's really a great deal. We've talked about them doing it at the beginning of the season, and what they're doing is they're offering the next 3 meetings for $100. And believe me, you get a full meal out of this, too. Every one of these meetings. It's great speakers. The meeting dates for this are November 9th, 16th, and 23rd as we wrap up this college football season. Anyone interested in taking advantage of this trial membership can RSVP the membership leader at bob.bagley@pauldavis.com. Or you can just pay at the door.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Duly Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Okay, and welcome back to Another Duly Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shakow and Mercandani Studios at the Steve Spurrier Grill. We had a good meal here the other night. You know what I had? Shrimp and grits. They are unbelievable. That I may not. One of my favorite dishes. Yeah, it may be hard to get me away from that and get to some kind of a fillet or something like that. But anyway. So we had a great time here on Friday night. It was really a fun weekend for the Gators in a lot of ways, basketball and everything going on. Obviously, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but volleyball getting to host, and they're still not. I don't know if they're still they're back to being the everything school, but they're the something school anyway. Right now, we want to talk to our great friend Andrea Adelson from ESPN.com, and does a great job writing and broadcasting. And just being Andrea. That's the main thing she does. With what do you got? Like 14 kids now? Is it up to 14?
Just the 2, Pat. Don't make my job harder than it is.
Well, I've already made your job harder than it is because I made you go watch the Florida-FSU game on Saturday, which to me, it was almost like both teams saying, here's why we suck. Let us show you it in microcosm. We'll commit 13 penalties. We'll do all these dumb things. We'll whiff a kick, at the end of the game. I mean, was it like that for you?
You forgot the turnovers, Pat,
yep.
and the missed assignments, and you're right. All of the things that have plagued both of these teams this year, they both did them like they were trying to one-up each other. Oh, you just made a mistake. We'll make the worst mistake, right? Over and over again. But it was an entertaining game. And I have to say, Pat, that I actually was pleasantly surprised by how loud it got in the stadium. I wasn't sure how many people would actually show up for a noon kick when it's been such a disappointing season for Florida, on Thanksgiving weekend. But I knew there'd be issues when it took me 3.5 hours from Orlando to get to the stadium, that there would be more than I anticipated being there. But there's a reason these two teams were not good this year. And that was on full display on Saturday.
Yeah, that was I was kind of surprised a little bit too, but I think there was a lot of it was, hey, we're going to the Florida-FSU game. And all these plans were made way ahead of time. And then there was a little bit of we don't have to deal with Dan Mullen anymore. There was a little bit of a referendum on him. Hey, you got rid of him. We're here to support the laundry, as Jerry Seinfeld likes to say. We're rooting for laundry. But I'm curious what you think of this Billy Napier hire. I mean, because obviously this is not a guy that many of us have gotten to know. I know Ross Dellinger did a great story the other day on him, but he, I know you have, you know a lot about all these coaches, and you've been in contact with them, and he's been all around the Southeast.
Yeah, my colleague Alex Scarborough wrote a really good in-depth profile on him at the beginning of the season, just about how he was biding his time. Billy Napier had been the name that we've heard over the last few years, but he always elected to stay. Why was that? Well, he clearly made the right decision in waiting for the right moment. And Pat, he checks off all the boxes, right? When you're making a hire at a school like Florida, you want a guy who is offensive minded. That has to, I know that Will Muschamp did not check that box, but didn't work for Will Muschamp. It's got to be a guy who's offense first, right? Got to be a guy who knows how to develop a quarterback, and it's got to be a guy who can recruit and has a base of coaches and knowledge in this area of the country. And he comes from the Saban tree and the Dabo tree. So you're getting the best of both worlds right there, the two coaches that have dominated in the playoffs. So when you look at it, well, you understand why he quickly emerged as the guy for Scott Strickland and for Florida. But there have been other coaches who checked off boxes too, and it didn't quite work out for them. So what is going to be different about Billy Napier? I actually texted Alex, who wrote the story on him yesterday, and that's what I asked him. Why are things going to be different with, you know him better than I do, why are things going to be different with Billy Napier? And he told me that in his sense, and again, you think you got a home run, you don't know till they actually get here and do the job. But in his sense, it's his obviously qualifications with who he's coached for, ability to recruit, and all the things that we touched on, his intensity, but also his organization level and ability to bring in the right guys to do the job. At least in Alex's mind, who knows Billy, feels like those are all things that will help him succeed at Florida. But Pat, ultimately, I think Florida administration needs to ask themselves, why are they in a revolving door now of head coaches and have been? Why is there no sustained success at a school like Florida? I don't know the answer to that, Pat. You're closer to it. Maybe you've got a better answer than I do, but you would think at a place like Florida, they'd be able to win consistently every single year. And they haven't been able to do that since Urban Meyer.
Well, Andrea, here's the thing that's amazing to me with Florida is I don't even know that there's a program around that has had this decade of dysfunction where they constantly are, hey, they're great. Oh God, it fell down. Hey, they're great again. Oh, it fell down. I mean, we didn't have that before. It was just Florida was always in the pool, just kind of waiting around there. And then all of a sudden Spurrier came and everything went great. And then Urban had his great thing. But it's been almost inexplicable. And I do think that a lot of it is just hiring guys who could take other guys' players and make them good, but they couldn't recruit. They couldn't recruit at a high enough level.
And that's, again, hard to grasp at a place like Florida, where you would think that you would have the pick of whoever you wanted in the state. But it hasn't been like that for Florida. It hasn't been like that for Florida State. And it hasn't been like that for Miami in quite some time, where you're thinking, all right, you're in this hotbed for recruiting. If you nail down the top recruits in the state, you should be good. But it hasn't worked out that way. And I know Dan struggled to even get the top recruits in the state to take Florida seriously, which is not a spot that Florida should ever be in. So from my vantage point, I don't think that the program right now is completely broken and fallen off of a cliff.
Right.
They've got the facilities that are coming. They clearly hired somebody with an emphasis on recruiting. And the one advantage that they should have over Georgia, right? Forget about Florida State and Miami. Right now it's Georgia. Comparing yourself to Georgia. How are we going to get past Georgia? Is quarterback. Now, it wasn't, a year ago that they beat Georgia with an elite quarterback and a better offense. Well, Georgia really hasn't had that. So if Florida can get that back and sustain that and develop quarterbacks the way that they have when they've been at their best, then I think Florida is in great shape. That, to me, that's the one thing that I want to see out of Billy Napier is the offense that we think he's going to bring, but also the recruitment and development of quarterbacks to get Florida to a spot where they can consistently say, well, we've got the best quarterback between us and Georgia. Because Georgia hasn't been able to develop a guy in how long now? And it seems like they've almost given up on that. Yeah, so that's where right now, at least, you feel like, okay, let's take the advantages that we feel that we can get and then fill in some holes elsewhere. That's why keeping Anthony Richardson is going to be so huge and should be one of the first orders of business.
Well, here's what I'm excited about, Andrea, because you just watched a 3-hour and 53-minute football game, which as much as I love football, I did not enjoy it. It was just too long, and they need to do something about some of the reviews and some of the 8-hour blocks of commercials. But 32.6 penalties a game for Louisiana this year. That is an exciting stat to me, because clearly, as you saw in that game, we were talking about two really undisciplined teams, and FSU, it's almost like it's carried over from. You remember the Willie Taggart first game against Mullen when he was just, their guys were just saying, let's punch you and let you have another first down. I don't know why these guys can't be more disciplined in this game. I don't get it.
It's a continuing issue for both of the programs. I mean, there were several times this year in games where there were key penalties that Florida committed on defense that kept drives alive, that ended up being a huge factor in the outcome of games. And so, you're right to look at that as something that is exciting because, again, if they can get the recruiting right, there's still talent on this roster. If they can get the recruiting right and just get these guys to not commit foolish penalties, whether it's pre-snap, which should never happen, whether it's unsportsmanlike penalties, whether it's dumb pass interference penalties. I mean, you name it. You were talking about laundry. It's a laundry list of things that you can sit here and find for where Florida can be better. And yes, that is 100% at the top of the list.
Yeah, no question about it. And they've got to be more disciplined. They got to change the culture. I know everybody talks about it. I don't think Dan Mullen had a bad culture, but I think Dan Mullen infected his own culture by giving them excuses to lose. And I go back to I know everybody goes back to that Oklahoma game. I go back to the LSU game the previous year where he basically said, hey, we got to have everything in perfect shape for the Alabama game to beat them. And so LSU, they suck. They're 3-5. And I think that's when the kind of the excuse to lose kind of started with this team. And it's almost like those players had to regroup at the end of the season to win at least. They didn't play terrible in the next to last game against Missouri, and they played great in the second half against Samford. But they played well enough to win these games, and I think that the players almost had to regroup on their own.
Well, it sounded that way based on the comments from the players post-game on Saturday with how the vibe in the locker room felt like it did earlier on in the season. It almost felt like it was a completely different atmosphere as they were getting ready for this game against Florida State. And I don't know how much of that has to do with Dan not being there or how much they like and respect Greg Knox or how much they knew how important it was to beat Florida State, to try and salvage what has been a disappointing season. But, Damian Pierce said there's a lot of guys in that locker room who love football, and the new coaching staff needs to remind the whole team how much they love football, why they're here, why they're doing what they're doing. And I thought that was a really telling comment that he made. But I want to speak to that larger point about Dan making excuses. And, Mike Norvell has taken a lot of heat at Florida State, especially after that 0-4 start. But the way that he handled himself, he answered every difficult question, knowing that people were looking for something to hit him over the head with. And yet he took full responsibility, full accountability, said this is not acceptable. This is not what we are about at Florida State. And we're going to do everything we can to get it turned around. He was passionate at times when he had to be. And you never saw that out of Dan when things started to go downhill this season. There was no passion or fire. This is unacceptable and we're going to fix this. This is not who we are at Florida. There was none of that. It was almost kind of like, And you're right. That translates to a team. When your head coach isn't standing up for what he needs to stand up for, and he's just kind of going through the motions in a press conference, or he's looking to blame other people or antagonize people for asking a question about the quarterbacks. Yeah, that absolutely rubs off on a football team. The demeanor of the head coach, right? That translates to what the demeanor of the team is going to be. And I think some of the meh-ness of Dan Mullen ultimately translated to the team playing meh.
Can I use that? Meh-ness? Meh? Would it be meh-ness?
I think so. Meh. Yeah.
Last thing for you, and I know you got to go. Our good friend Dan Wolken tweeted, "Is anybody home at Miami? They're just curious, And I'm the same way. I'm like, all these things are happening, and what's Miami doing? They feel like they want to wait until they hire an AD before they hire a head coach, but you're going to lose an entire recruiting cycle. And I don't know that it matters, but what's your thought on Miami? I know you cover them too.
It's a disaster. It's a mess. They have no plan. They have no idea what they want. If all right, we're going to get rid of our athletic director, but we want the new athletic director to hire the head coach. You need to have a plan in place for who you want to come in there. You can't just say we're getting rid of Blake James because our fans are upset and Kirk Herbstreit called us out. Now we got to do something. And so they get rid of Blake James, who I thought did a decent enough job at Miami. And now they don't know what they want. They have no idea what they want for an athletic director. But they know they want the athletic director to make a decision on Manny. While Manny is trying to recruit players right now because we're 2 weeks away from signing day, and he can't give them a straight answer about whether he's going to be back or not.
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know. I guess I'm here. I'm talking to you now. It is so dysfunctional right now. Yeah. And I think the worst idea that I've heard, which is something that they're actually considering, is some sort of two-headed AB model where you've got a former player who's focused on football only, but then somebody else who can deal with the administrative side and the fundraising and all the other stuff that comes with an AD. That is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. It's not going to work. Those types of situations, absolutely. It never works. So that right there just illustrates to you how Miami has no idea what to do right now, because their university president is so far removed from the athletic side of it right now. He's just let Blake and the other people run athletics, and now he has to make a decision. And he's so paralyzed about what to do that it has forced them to be in a situation where there's nothing in place right now. And you've got a head coach who I think we all believe is a lame duck head coach, trying to salvage some sort of recruiting class where I think they only have like 8 commits right now, Pat.
I thought you were going to tell me that Dion was going to be the next coach of the Miami Hurricanes, which would be entertaining, but I don't know. It would be a good call. Before you go, I know you want to say something really nice about David Cutcliffe, and I've dealt with him on a lot of bases, but you dealt with him on a really close basis. He, of course, they announced an agreement for him to leave. I felt bad that it kind of went bad there for him at the end.
Yeah, I think we all did. I don't know anybody who has a negative word to say about David Cutcliffe, but the Herculean job that he did to get Duke to a position where they were not just winning games, but going to bowl games year after year. I mean, we all know what Steve Spurrier did there in winning an ACC championship, but he was only at Duke for 3 years. The sustained success that David had in the middle part of his time there at Duke, where he took this team to 6 of its 14 all-time bowl appearances and an ACC championship game. Truly remarkable. But what will always stand out to me, he is the only coach, Pat, who every time I talk to him asks, how are your girls? Show me a picture. I want to get an update. Because he knows that it's bigger than football, right? He's one of those football coaches whose life isn't 100% football. He's got a much larger worldview, and he knows that we're all fortunate to be in this position where we have jobs that we love, whether as coaches or media like me and you. But ultimately, there are more important things. And he truly appreciates and understands the value of that. And I think that's why when you look at the players he's coached at Duke and everywhere that he's been, you don't see discipline problems. You don't see guys who are going out there and acting foolish. These are all young men who are set to be successful in life because of the standard that David Cutcliffe set for them. And I can tell you, I'm going to miss seeing him around the ACC. Truly one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I mean, there are some guys that are just perfect for the school they're at, and David Cutcliffe was perfect for Duke, and it's sometimes you just got to pass the baton, and that's I hope he has a great retirement, and I hope, Andrea, we get to keep reading you and enjoy your stuff on ESPN.com. You do such a great job. Another UF graduate. I mean, they're everywhere. I was talking to relatives that were up north about all the UF graduates that are famous, and I mentioned Andrea Adelson too, and they were like, yeah, vaguely familiar with their work. But we appreciate you so much, and we appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll get you again maybe when we get down the spring football road.
That'd be great. Thanks for being president of my fan club.
I am number one. Thanks,
Thank
Andrea.
you.
We
Thanks,
appreciate Andrea for being on. Always great. Always great. I wish we could have her on every show. Or other people. We have other people that are good too. All right, we got to get a break. We will come back and we will talk. Hey, my thing's in the way. I got to move. Okay, there we go. All right, we will be back in just a minute and turn it this way. This is new equipment we're getting used to. All right, we got all of our great stuff to do. We can't wait for it. 3 things presented by Hand Law, the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack, Love Where You Live with Alex Wesley Construction, the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the weekend, Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads, and the Leonardos and Millhopper quick picks. All this on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Shackau and Mercadante Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shackau and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shackau and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hey, this is Pat Dooley for the Gainesville Quarterback Club, and they are having a trial membership here at the end of the season. It's really a great deal. We've talked about them doing it at the beginning of the season, and what they're doing is they're offering the next 3 meetings for $100. And believe me, you get a full meal out of this, too, for every one of these meetings. It's great speakers. The meeting dates for this are November 9th, 16th, and 23rd as we wrap up this college football season. Anyone interested in taking advantage of this trial membership can RSVP the membership leader at bob.bagley@pauldavis.com, or you can just pay at the door. All right, welcome back to Another Duly Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Shackau and Mercadante Studios. Really appreciate everybody for all of our sponsors and all of our great guests. Andrea Adelson, she's great, tremendous. We have Robbie on Friday. Got a special guest coming on next Friday for our 100th show, which is hard to believe that we've done 100 shows. Or we haven't done it yet. This is what, 98? Or 97? 98. No, it's 97. Could be. Maybe something. It's something. Whatever it is. Whatever it is, it is. All right. We have to get to all of our great things that we love doing here every week. And again, thanks to everybody who made my weekend special, including the Florida Gators. As bad as they played to win that game against FSU, you know how much it means to me, and Florida basketball, and for just all the people here at Spurrier's, and the guy who jumped my wife's car. I mean, it just people were really, really nice to me. I had a fun weekend. May have been a little bit sedentary, but it was still good. It was still a good weekend. I got out here. It was fun. All right, it is time for Three Things presented by Hand Law. Three Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville, and of course on Friday they'll be excited because they're sponsors of Robbie Andrews' appearances, so that'll be fun for them as well. Let's go with number one. The Nick Saban rant during the week of the Iron Bowl was the best rant ever, in which he talked about fans being self-absorbed and just winning and just the process and just going through it, all that. The fans didn't get it, and he just chewed them out, and it was beautiful. I loved it. This is why I love Nick Saban. I have become, with every year that goes by, I am more of a Nick Saban fan. I love him. He says the truth, man. There's things that I haven't liked about him at times, but he's a truth sayer. And guess what? Those self-absorbed fans were thinking with 2 minutes ago in that game, it's time for Saban to go. And they went that game. I haven't even talked about the other college football this weekend. This was the best weekend of what I consider the best year of college football ever. And I don't know if it's super seniors or COVID, the year after COVID or whatever. To me, this is the best ever season of college football. I've loved it. And I haven't. The thing is, this is how good it is. 6-6 doesn't even spoil it. All right, number two on the Three Things presented by Hand Law. Florida basketball with a big win, of course, during the week. But I mean, I didn't get to talk about it then because we had all the Thanksgiving stuff going on. But anyway, they win again on Sunday yesterday and blow them out. And that's the kind of game where you kind of go, hey, these guys are serious about every game. This is what I'm always talking about. Florida athletes need to know one thing. Everybody wants to beat you. And it's not that it's the same way at Ohio State. And I don't know if it's that way at Alabama but I think at Florida it's different because the SEC hates you. Everybody hates you. Nobody wants you to win. Your coach was Steve Spurrier. Your coach was Billy Donovan with the little Eddie Munster look. They got mad at that. People hate Florida. So you better be ready to play. And this team is ready to play every night. And I like that. Only 6 games in, but they are now number 14 in the country. Not that matters. Rankings in AP basketball are meaningless because it comes down to the committee. Also, want to send a shout out to volleyball, which got into the tournament. We knew they were into the tournament, but they're a 16 seed, which is right at the end of the top seeds, but they do get to host. And it looks like not too tough a draw, but I think they play their first game Thursday, or first match Thursday. Go out and support them, man. Either Gator or you ain't. Or you're Gator bait. Oh, I didn't say that out loud. You can't say that out loud. Finally, number 3, my Heisman ballot came in yesterday. I am number 232, if you want to know. That's the number of ballots I got. There should not be 232 voters. I've said that for over 20 years. There should be about 100 voters, and I'll give up my vote to knock it down to 100 to get it done right. And sometimes I don't think it's been always that wrong, but sometimes I've gotten mad about it. Anyway, there's like 900 voters. I don't know who I'm voting for. I have no idea. I'm going to watch the games this weekend, and I am going to consider very strongly both of the defensive players in the SEC championship game. Jordan Davis, I love. I think he's tremendous. I think he's a dominant force. He changes the game. And Will Anderson, that may come down. It may come down to just that. Me looking at who plays the better game there and go, that's my first pick. offensively. You know, Bryce Young did a great thing, and that last drive was amazing. Until then, he had done nothing. 3 points. So I don't know. I've got to really think about it, and I try not to get caught up in Heisman watches and all that too early. So, all right, it is time for. Oh, by the way, I did want to mention the passing of Lee Elder at 87. Of course, got to be part of the ceremony at Augusta this year. I didn't really know. I don't have any relationship to him, but it was a big deal. A big deal when he qualified for the Masters. They had tried their hardest to keep African Americans out of that tournament. They would change the rules within the year, and finally he got in, and he passed away today at 87. So sorry about that. All right, it is time for the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Of course, Alex Wesley Construction, you got to love where you live with the Alex Wesley Construction. So you see the updated top 12 that we pick every week, and you see Georgia times 8. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is 8 straight weeks Georgia's had every first-place vote. It is a record. Somebody looked it up. I certainly wouldn't have. And that tells you how dominant they're the most dominant team in the history of football, in a way. Now, I hope they're not dominant for one game. That's all I care about. And I don't know, Gator fans, I think, are the same way. I just, please don't let him win. If Jim Harbaugh wants to win, let him have it. I got Michigan 2. I got Alabama 3. Cincinnati 4. Look, Alabama winning the game is what matters. Not, and again, I go back to the Saban rant. It's not Alabama didn't look good the whole game. It's Alabama won the game. People, it's so funny in college football more than the NFL. The NFL, if you win a game 9-3 and you're supposed to be a great offensive team, everybody's happy. If you win a game in college football 9-3 and you're supposed to be a great offensive team, everybody's mad. And I have that saying, nobody suffers winning like Gator fans. Boy, they suffer losing even worse. So I got Oklahoma State at 5. I was very impressed with their game against Oklahoma. And who knows? Look, does anybody really believe that the first time that Lincoln Riley was talking about going to USC was the day after that game? It might have affected him. I don't know. Oklahoma State's better than Oklahoma this year. Oklahoma's not very good. I thought they were going to be great. I thought they were going to be a no-brainer team. So I think Oklahoma State's certainly got a chance. Georgia beats Alabama. It's going to be a real battle to see who gets that last spot. And it could be Notre Dame. Because don't forget, Oklahoma State has a championship game to be played as well. Number 7, Ole Miss. Very impressed with what Lane Kiffin did. It appears he's going to stay at Ole Miss, that nobody wants him. And, maybe sometimes when you sow your oats too young and comes back to haunt you. Number 8, Baylor. Number 9, Ohio State. They may be too high. Michigan State 10. I don't know. Number 11 is Oregon. At this point, we don't care. And number 12, Louisiana. Billy Napier, we are paying you homage. Although I will point out, I did not realize this, that he is playing in the championship game against App State. App State's a 3-point favorite. But they already killed them earlier this year. And the game was in Lafayette. And the game's in Lafayette again. So I think they may be all right. All right, let us to go. That is by the way, that is the Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. Love where you live with Alex Wesley Construction. We go to the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the weekend, and to me, there was only one guy I considered, even though Florida basketball played great and there was a lot of other things that happened around. Nah, Brenton Cox, 4 sacks in the game, bro. That's Alex Brown-like. I give him total credit for that. And I know there only seems to be one thing he can do well, and that's rush the passer. And doesn't always do that well. Sometimes he gets neutralized. But I give the guy credit. He had 4 sacks in a game that was really important. And the game was really important for Florida to win that game. You lose that game, now you've hit rock bottom. You've lost FSU. You've and a bad FSU team. You're not going to a bowl game. It was bigger maybe than I made it out to be. Anyway, Brenton Cox, maybe you should go to Adams. I tell you what, Brenton, I don't know if I can do this on the NIL. You meet me at Adams Ribco to go, and I will get you some ribs. How about that? I'll make sure that happens, and you will not be disappointed. All right, Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. We did have some people qualify this week. About half of you. I got your names written down. Don't worry about it. But we'll have a quick one this week because of midweek. Dallas is at New Orleans. Again, I can't get spreads until after the NFL game Monday is over. Or maybe I can. I just don't know how to do it. But the bottom line is Dallas at New Orleans. Just pick a team. Just pick a team. It's not hard. We're trying to qualify as many people as we can every 3 weeks or so that we do this, and then we love to give them great prizes. And we've been able to do that all year, and we love that. All right. What do we have left? We have this. The Monday spreads, my favorite thing. Monday spreads are brought to you by Hesser & Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. Can you edit those burps out at all? I don't know. Somehow I get a little acid reflux. I think going. All right, Hesser & Kipke, Monday spreads. We always love this, and we appreciate Hesser & Kipke along with Hand Law, our double sponsors. We love that they sponsor two different things. Again, I just want to bring this up. Guys, if you want to get involved in some of the cool things we're going to do with basketball, just give me a call. You know how to get a hold of me. It's not hard, and we'll get you involved, and it'll be fun. All right, here we go, Georgia. Now, Georgia was a 4-point favorite over Alabama last week. And if you think Georgia's going to win this game comfortably, that's when you probably should have jumped on it. But what happened was Alabama barely won in 4 overtimes, one of the great games of all time in the Iron Bowl, but that knocked them down. Georgia is now 6.5-point favorite over Alabama. So you could have gotten it at 4. Iowa in the Big Ten championship game, a 10.5 points favorite over Michigan. 10-point underdog. It did say that on one of these sites, and I was like, what? And then I had to look at a bunch of sites. No, Iowa is a 10.5-point underdog to Michigan. I would so stay away from that game. Michigan will win somehow. They're going to win the game. They're going to grind it out. It could end up a 9-point game. So stay away. Pitt, 3-point favorite over Wake Forest in the ACC title game that nobody will be watching. Although I'll watch it because it's football and it's on TV and we're near the end of all this. Houston, 10.5 over Cincinnati. No, under Cincinnati, I should say. Cincinnati, of course, has to win that game to have a chance, and if they do, they'll win. They'll be in. Utah, 3-point favorite over Oregon in the Big Pac-12 championship game. Lafayette is a 3-point underdog to Appalachian State, even though they beat them 41-14 early in the year, got 4 turnovers. That's why I love Billy Napier already. They're plus 11 in turnovers. Florida was -8. That's 19 turnovers the Gators are going to get right there. And then finally, in the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State's 5.5 point favorites over Baylor. I keep losing my train of thought today. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it happens sometimes. So those are the Hesser & Kipke Monday spreads. We always love doing that. We could have done a 2-hour show today, but we got other things to do. So we'll be back with you on Friday with Robbie Andrew. We'll have a lot of fun with that. And then we'll see the press conference with Billy Napier will be Monday, I think, the following Monday. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be anything revealing. But we're out of here for now. Until next time, till we meet with Robbie Andrew on Friday, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back. And I am out of here.